Welcome to episode 72 of Beer with Strangers. I'm your host, Tony Russo, and I'm joined this week by our official pinch hitter, Sean Hager.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Plenty of stuff to talk about this week. We are supposed to have Anthony Towey on. He could still join us. Stranger things have happened. I don't have a lot of success with getting guests on the show. I think the main reason is that I don't really practice it very much.
Right.
I'm not very good. I'm like, yeah, we'll go on sometime around 12. And then, at 12:15, I'm like, hey, you ready? And nobody answers. So that's my own fault. We'll fix that. I'm enjoying today a red IPA.
Red Rye IPA.
And would you tell the kids about it while I'm drinking it?
It is one of our customers that comes in here bought a Blickman Brew Easy system. And this was a recipe that he had done a few times in the past. Basically kind of took I think he kind of took 60 Minute and modified it a bit. No, I'm sorry. It was Sierra Nevada. I forgot what beer he was going for, but he basically kind of took a clone recipe, tweaked it around his own way, and it's one of his favorite beers that he's brewed, so he opted to do that as his maiden voyage with the Brew Easy system. So we did it right here in this room, and I think it came out pretty good. Definitely a learning curve on a new piece of equipment.
Yeah. No, this is perfectly fine. It's not. I'm sure your critique is that it's not bitter enough. But
no.
Right.
I don't necessarily like super bitter IPAs. I like very citrusy IPAs.
Oh, I see. Well, this isn't citrusy either, but you get the rye in it.
Yeah, it gets a nice spicy. For a long time I wasn't a huge rye person, but I'm starting to get more of appreciation for it. That little bit of spiciness is kind of nice. So.
I just actually had, where did I have an excellent rye beer? I cannot remember. I have been to so many breweries lately. I've lost track of where I tried it, but it was. Oh, you know where it was? It was at the Dewey Beer Company.
Okay.
Dewey Beer Company. They do a very good rye IPA. It's not quite as bitter as this either. It's barely bitter at all for an IPA. It's just bitter enough, and it's not a punch you in the face. Like I had a rye beer. It was very good, but they called it rye bread because it was punch you in the face with rye. This had a nice little bit of rye, and it also had a nice little bit of IPA. It was very good. This is also very good. The red is, I think, the extra malt is.
Just basically going for like a red style, so you can use a few little dark malts here and there to get that same, get the color and a little bit of roasty flavor.
And so we're going to talk about red and roasty in a second. I do want to apologize. If you are listening on iTunes, you have missed 2 episodes. The reason that you've missed 2 episodes is because I screwed them up. The reason that I screwed them up was not intentionally, but as it turns out, I haven't been turning this microphone on, so I haven't been able to repair the audio, which has just been absolute garbage. So if you're still watching, thank you for tuning in. I've checked. We have the right audio. I'll check again while you're watching. We have the right audio, so the audio will be better on this one. And welcome back on the internet. Excuse me. Sorry. That's what happens when you chug a beer.
Yeah, that's right. You get a little extra gas there.
And so we're going to start off with a little bit of promotional stuff. One of the things Anthony Towey was supposed to talk about, but we'll talk about anyway because we have an expert here, is the Oktoberfest. Slated now for October 24th in Northside Park in Ocean City. Tickets are available at surecraftbeer.com and wherever other fine tickets to events are sold. But Extreme Brewing is providing the recipes and the gear for the first combined brew for Eastern Shore beers in the history of combined brews.
Yeah, there's Monday at Ask a Woman Brew Company on 45th Street. The 45th Street Village. They are going to have a collaboration brew, and they asked if we want to be a part of it. So we're supplying the ingredients, and we actually supply the recipe. Those guys are going to brew it. They have their own equipment. I think, I'm not sure if Backshore is bringing some equipment, and Ask Woman, I could be wrong about that. Anyway, the breweries are going to bring their own equipment. They're going to do 2 5-gallon batches of homebrew, basically, that are going to be served at the event on October the 24th. The recipes that we have given them, one of them is a Irish red or English red, whatever you want to call it. And I wrote together a breakfast porter. So it's going to be a porter with smoked malt for bacon. I'm going to use molasses for like the pancake element, and I'm using oats kind of for the oatmeal thing. And if I get everything right grain wise, the beer itself will have a faint coffee taste. So it'll be kind of like your typical breakfast. I thought that'd be kind of fun and fall-ish. So hopefully they come out good. If not, I'm sorry.
I was talking to a guy today who was saying how much he likes stouts and how people are always like, oh, what about IPAs? And I'm like, well, you know what? They say that less in the winter than they do in the summer. And,
yeah.
I mean, in the summer, you order a stout, people are like, wow, you must really like stouts because there's lots of good summer beers on. But in the winter,
I'm definitely I'm an all year IPA drinker, but my porter and stout intake go dramatically up in the winter. I feel like I just ate a whole meal if I drink a stout in the summertime.
Mm-hmm.
Except for Guinness. Guinness doesn't actually fill me up that much, which is strange.
Yeah,
really low alcohol too.
That's probably what it is. You're not feeling like you're drinking
on it.
Yeah.
Right.
Speaking of not getting tanked on things, so anyway, stay tuned for that. Anthony will probably be on next week or the week after, but hopefully we'll have him on shortly. Or Ann Hilliard, who runs Surecraft Beer, to talk about the event. Thing about coming, I will report on the event at next Thursday's podcast, and also I'll get a blog up on it by Wednesday night. It should be fun, and if you follow us on Twitter, there'll be plenty of pictures and stuff like that. So, but anyway, speaking of weird beers, so 2 weeks ago, I think, or 3 weeks ago, I had my first Iron Maiden beer, the Trooper beer, which is perfectly acceptable. It's not an awesome beer, but as we've discussed here before, it wasn't meant to be an awesome beer. It was meant to be a good beer, and it succeeded at that awesomely. Just a nice 4% and change.
Yeah, English pub ale.
English pub ale. You drink them all day if you want, and I did, and they were good. Not fantastic, but they were solid beers. And so, not to be outdone, or to be outdone but not realize it, just as in their music, we have Metallica is putting out a limited edition Budweiser. Is this
Canada only?
Canada only. It's in French, I guess. That's the language.
Budweiser's going to do it. I haven't really looked into what the beer style is going to be. Let me see here. It's a black can. It says Metallica. It has the Ride the Lightning bolt coming down it.
This is great. Yeah, you want to read that?
It says Labatt is the Canadian subsidiary of Anheuser-Busch. So Labatt is going to be the one making it. During the concert, the sonic vibrations from Metallica's music will be infused into the liquid. Oh, God.
It's tough to read, kids. So the idea is they're going to put, it looks like they're going to put the beer in tankers, bring the tankers to a show, let the tankers get hit with the legendary rock music of Metallica. And this is where I'm going to go into rock critic mode. I'm not a huge metal fan. I was a huge metal fan when I was a kid, and then I just got into other stuff. Recently, I have rediscovered heavy metal. And now when I say I was a huge metal fan when I was a kid, I am so old that I was actually done with metal by the time Metallica was a band. So, yeah, that's how
like mid-'80s?
Yeah, by 1987, I was done.
Did metal exist?
Yeah, Judas Priest.
Yeah, Black Sabbath.
Iron Maiden, clearly Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
And then Quiet Riot and Motley Crue.
Quiet Riot is actually the one who turned heavy metal from one of their songs. And it's Quiet Riot.
And that's Quiet Riot. And so when Motley Crue came out with their third studio album, that was the beginning of the rise of hair metal, when Bon Jovi started to get really, really hot. Bon Jovi was from where I'm from, so it was easy to just be that guy. Yeah.
I cannot. I can't stand Bon Jovi.
So it was very easy. It was very easy for me to leave heavy metal in the dust. Recently, I've rediscovered it, mostly because I like to listen to it when I work out, and I put in. So if you have to put in, like in Pandora, you can put in like either something complicated or just a band name. I'm like, I want heavy metal. I'm going to put in one band name. That band is going to be Motorhead. Because you're going to do
Lemmy.
You're going to do
Lemmy
fine.
is God.
You're going to do fine. And they play lots of stuff, but not lots of stuff. Like there are maybe 5 or 6 bands they play, and it's Judas Priest, Motorhead, Iron Maiden, and Metallica. And I have a secret that, like, I didn't like Metallica, and I thought, well, it was just because I was being mad at Metallica's not that great. They're a little self-indulgent, and a little tedious. I like. Their hits are fine, and their not hits are not hits for a reason. So, like that,
I'm a huge metalhead. I love so many different kinds, so many different genres of metal. Most of the metal I listen to is European, but Metallica to me, and it's a cop out, and I'm sorry because everybody says the same thing. I like Metallica pre the Black Album, and I'm not an actual. Their very first album. It was supposed to be called Metal Up Your Ass, but it's called something else. Kill 'Em All. Not a big fan of that one. It's a little too raw for me. I did like some songs they had done.
The Enter the Sandman song.
Yeah, like the Enter the Sandman. I do like a lot of the songs on Black Album. You really can't not like them.
Is that the one?
That's the one that has everything on them. Yeah.
For Whom the Bell Tolls.
Yep. Then you had a Load and Reload. Each one of them had a song or two that was good, and then they kind of just went
very into themselves.
Yeah, and
clearly self-indulgent heavy metal.
Just not my thing. It's cool that they're doing this. I kind of wish that they had done something not with Budweiser.
Well, it's like it's incredibly markety. It's like, you know, this isn't one of the things I will borrow from Sam Calagione on this quote. One of the things he talked about is, you know, is it going to be about the beer or is it going to be about you? And if it's going to be about you, then be prepared to deal with the fallout. You know, if it's going to be about the beer, it's going to be fine. This is not about the beer. This is about the event. That's what he said. If it's going to be about the event, it can fail and miserably. But if it's going to be about the beer, it can't fail miserably because the beer is fine. And he talked about like a stunt that Sam Adams pulled that blew up in their face because it was about the stunt. And he talked about one that he did that blew up in his face because he was like, oh, we'll do this stunt. And it's like, if the stunt is about if there's more stunt than beer, you're going to have a problem.
Yeah.
And this looks like it's a lot more stunt than beer.
Yeah, it's gimmicky, like we've talked about in the past, a lot of gimmicks with beer nowadays. I just have an unnatural hatred for Anheuser-Busch. But if the beer is good, cool. I mean, the tractor trailer looks cool. It's a big black tanker that says Coulée dans le Rock. I speak very good Eastern Shore. I don't speak anything else. And it has Metallica emblem. It has a bunch of lightning bolts on it. It looks like a really neat truck. So from a promotion standpoint, awesome. It's made by Budweiser. Probably not going to blow your mind.
And not even Budweiser, but Labatt. And I don't know. I don't know how we feel about Labatt Blue here.
I couldn't tell you the last time I drank a Canadian beer.
Well, it was probably around the time I stopped listening to heavy metal. Molson Golden was very, very popular.
Yeah.
And Labatt Blue, there was a time there in the late 80s and early 90s when Canadian beers were popular. And they were, interestingly, I don't know how much this has to do with it, but they were kind of the rivals to the early craft beer. Like they were imports, but not really, because they were from Canada.
Right.
And they were
Lowenbrow,
Lowenbrow and Labatt Blue and Molson Golden.
Yeah.
And Molson Ice.
Oof,
do you remember the ice beers?
Yes. Which in Germany you can get an Eisbach, which is a ice beer, a real ice beer. I don't know what they made ice beer here like. You know, a lot of times you can just kind of frost distill a little bit of it and get your ice beer.
Mm-hmm.
But if you guys try the Metallica beer, hit us up. Let us know what it thinks. If you feel like dropping one off, I'm cool with that too.
Or
just at least tell us what you think of it, because I don't have high hopes for it.
Yeah. Well, I've been writing a lot about crowlers lately. So if you send me a Metallica beer, I will send you the Eastern Shore craft beer of your choice in a crowler.
There you go.
And as long as you choose one from a brewery that has crowlers. But there are 3. And this week I published my latest crowler story from Burley Oak, where I went and I got myself Rude Boy, and I had it with dinner, and that was really nice to be able to crack it open. And I just got one, and I drank one, and my wife drank one. We each had a pint. Very nice. One of the things that I talked about with Burley, and it was cool to see my friend Zach. You remember, Zach? Yeah. Zach Newton. Cool to see him behind the bar. He's getting married. He's lost a ton of weight.
Yes, he has.
He's all svelte.
He's all out surfing and whatnot now.
Yeah, very cool.
Kid. He's got a heck of a beer collection too.
Well, he's one of the beer aficionados, one of the early beer aficionados that I met in my nascent beer career. So also up next week or the week after, but not later than that, will be a little something on RAR, Real Ale Revival, where they also make crowlers, and it is my fervent hope to go and get some Nanacoke Nectar Habanero in a crowler.
I had their Nanacoke Nectar grapefruit.
Oh, good stuff.
They seriously have one of the most solid IPAs I've ever had, and it's always
solid enough that it can be changed and not.
Yeah, it's kind of like Sculpin.
Yeah.
So yeah, big up to Randy for that IPA. You're the man.
And moving on to another favorite topic of ours, and we pulled this up. A Hofbrauhaus opens in St. Petersburg as part of the growing beer industry. Now, if you follow, then you know, and if you don't, let's tell you. One of the things that we like to talk about a lot are the brew pub bottles. Excuse me. The idea of, rather than trying to export your beer, exporting your entire restaurant. Iron Hill does it. We've talked about that. And there are a couple in Pennsylvania. And I know that Doug's a fan of some that I can't remember the name of. But Hofbrauhaus is another big one. I have never been inside of a Hofbrauhaus, so I don't know anything about them.
I went to the one in Pittsburgh. Actually, for the week I was there, I ended up going there twice. Once as soon as I got there, and once right before I left. And beer's solid. I mean, good.
Is it a German lager?
German lagers, all German lagers. Depends on when you go there, depending on what beer you get. I would love to go there this time of year and start getting some Oktoberfest, because that's my favorite beer.
Or to go in May and get a Marzen.
That's a Marzen. Marzen's made in March, served in October.
Didn't we have this conversation already? I remembered it backwards.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah. Make it in March, serve it in October.
There you go.
That is the Oktoberfest beer.
Right. Yeah, that's my favorite too.
Yeah. That's seriously my hands down favorite beer. I got one in there, still lagering, just kicking it. But food was great. I mean, obviously you get the typical, the Germans food. You get, pretzels and knockwurst and bratwurst and every other worst. You get the best of the worst. But it was cool. They had a really neat mug club there, and you get a Stein, or I'm not sure if it's a flip top or not, and you have a locker.
Oh wow!
There, and it's like beautiful metal cage around it. You go in, you get your mug, and you get discounts. Now you own that mug,
right?
And you get discounts on all your beer fills and stuff like that. What I love about it is that you get beer in 2 sizes. You get a half liter or a liter. And I'm like, well, I'm a man. Give me a liter. The first time you ever get a liter set down in front of you, you're like, oh, okay. That's the boot, right? They serve it in like a boot? No, it's a big dimpled glass.
Oh, that's right. My brother has one.
About this big around. And it's funny because you can watch people who have never drank out of a glass that big. They hold the handle like this, and they pick it up, and the bottle drops like in the hits of the wrist. And what you're supposed to do is put your hand through it, grab the glass, and it holds on to you. But I drank 2.
Wow! And
had to sit there and eat a lot of pretzels prior to getting up again. And it's low alcohol beer, but it's good, solid German beer. And apparently this will be the 4th that I'm aware of. There's one in Munich, which is the big one, and it's like a block, like a city block is this brewery. It's massive. and it has a huge, beautiful beer garden. There's one in Pittsburgh. There's one in Las Vegas.
Yeah, that's why I didn't go to that one, but I should have. My brother went, and I didn't go with him.
And now St. Petersburg. Now, I don't know if they've opened any more worldwide. If you get a chance to go, I mean, you sit there and they got the Yuma music. They do the ziggy-zaggy thing where you chug. But we were there, there was a guy on a squeeze box doing his thing and, doing like polka and all that kind of stuff. Really beautiful atmosphere. The brewing system is just immaculate. It's right in the middle of the restaurant. Just wow.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and the guys were, just going around doing the brewing thing, not even concerned about all of us. And, you can yell cheers during the middle of it and everybody will raise their glass and stuff. It's beautiful atmosphere. It's, I guess you can call it kind of campy. It's a kind of touristy, but unlike a lot of them where the touristy things are kind of like, this is gimmicky, you feel like you're there.
It's amplified.
Yeah, I mean, you step outside of Hofbrauhaus in Pittsburgh, and it's like, oh no, I'm in Pittsburgh. But while you're there, it feels good. So if you live near St. Petersburg, looks like
you're 1,000 years old,
and you're not. You have long since retired, and probably not watching this.
That ask your grandkids how their computer works.
If you are what? Go back up to that. Opening the beer hall in St. Petersburg is no small investment. Between the purchase of the property, transformation of the existing building, installation of authentic Bavarian atmosphere, cost. The cost is in excess of $6 million.
Yeah, it's not that much of you. I mean, that's building out the door.
That's taking a building that's there, though.
Yeah.
That's a lot of cheese for, I mean, the decor is where that money's going.
Well, they'll also make $12 million this year.
Maybe.
Yeah.
How far the beer was not cheap, but
yeah, and it's not expensive to make. That's the other thing. It's got
it's not. Well, I guess I can't say it wasn't cheap. I mean, I got a liter or 2 liters of beer, and I don't think it set me back that much. The meals are kind of, but I've only been to a few German restaurants, and I've never been to a cheap one.
Yeah.
It's a specialty thing. I'll tell you something else. If you end up in Pittsburgh, go to Church Brew Works. My God. If you're in Pittsburgh and you go to Hofbrauhaus, save a little bit of room, go to Church Brew Works. It's literally an old Catholic church that has been converted into a brewery. Fun. The altar, it's got a huge high cathedral ceiling and all that, is the brewing system. And they were allowed, when they desanctified the church, they were allowed to keep the stained glass windows. And that's typically a big no-no. But they worked it out with the church and said, we're going to keep everything very churchy. The light shines down. There's a glow, just an aura around the brewing system. And like when you walk in the door, it has the built into the walls, like the little blessed water where you sprinkle on your face or whatever. They're not full. I think it'd be cool if they filled it with beer, but probably get the flies. But really, really, really neat place to go, and it's only a few miles away. So,
Pittsburgh is a big beer town. It always has been.
Yeah, we went 2 or 3 years ago, and I ended up going to Penn Brewing, which the brewers there are freaking awesome, and so are the pierogies. Hofbrauhaus, Fatheads, which I didn't actually get to drink.
Right.
I'm an idiot. Church Brew Works, and I think we went to 1 or 2 other places, and there were many, 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 many more. We need that here, damn it.
Well, and we're getting all the closer. The problem, I think, that the difficulty we have is we are not as touristy as Ocean City is. It is not St. Petersburg touristy.
No.
So it'd be really, really difficult to.
Well, Pittsburgh's not very touristy.
Yeah, but Pittsburgh's just got
a city.
It's a city.
Maybe I can take over St. Francis. See if they'll give me their church, and I'll make it a brewery.
I'll be talking with them later on today. I'll ask for you.
If it's okay if I take their church and make it to a brewery.
For my day job, I'm trying to find. I don't know why someone who's going to see the Pope. I don't understand the idea behind that assignment, except like I went and I saw the Pope. It was like being at the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade, except with the Pope.
Pretty cool though.
Oh, I don't have any problem with the Pope. I don't know what like.
What do you say to a Pope?
What would the story about you going to see the Pope in New York be like? I saw the Pope. It was a magical experience. It was good. That's 70 words. Now I only need another 430, and I'll have a story. But setting that aside, the strength I think down here and continuing is going to be the larger tourism experience where you can go and you hit a lot of small breweries. And we're getting a little bit closer there. Lots of fun things coming up in the next couple of weeks. And in addition to this beer fest, we also have the Good Beer Festival coming up, which I will go right out and say is the premier county-run beer festival in the country.
Ooh,
simple as that.
That's big.
No one's doing anything better than this.
Yeah, Good Beer Fest comes up on October the
10th
and 11th.
My birthday's October 10th.
Nice. Mine was September 10th.
But it's always that weekend.
I got you.
That's how I know.
Registration for the homebrew contest is over. Sorry if you missed it. There will be another one next year. This year, we're actually getting moved to the middle.
That's great.
Smack dab. To our backs will be the local brewery section. So we'll get to hang out with all the cool people that we know.
And also the talks will be able to be heard because a lot of times the talks were a problem because we couldn't be heard over the
music.
So
yeah, if you want to hear some of the brewers, some are talking about opening a business, some are talking about different beer styles, just a little bit of everything. And it's, other than what you pay to get in, it's free. Also, we're in a roped off area because we're homebrew. We're actually getting 2 homebrew clubs that are local to serve their beer as well as stuff that we are making for that. I'm actually doing a beer that I did for the Salisbury Roller Girls because they'll be there as well.
And what's the other homebrew club?
There's which is Delaware United Homebrewers. Excuse me. And beer, BIER. I don't know what it stands for. Sorry, I didn't come prepared for class. But it is our good friends down at Wallop's Flake Facility.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, guys like to shoot rockets and drink beer. Nothing about that sucks.
Yeah.
So those guys are going to help us do a brew demonstration on Saturday and or Sunday. They are also going to be serving 4 beers I'm aware of. The guys from will be, giving a pretty wide selection of their beer, and their stuff is always good. And we'll have stuff that we've done, including a version of that breakfast porter I talked about, the Roller Girls beer. I think we're going to do a coffee saison, and we're doing a cask.
Oh, how exciting!
As well, we are attempting to do a pumpkin porter on whiskey soaked oak with ginger snaps.
Oh, that'll be
Hopefully
fun.
It's not too much.
Is that in yet?
No, I got to get that.
As a matter of fact,
yeah, I have to do that right now. Goodbye. No, but I had to do that very soon.
Very cool. And do we have any classes coming up here at Extreme Brewing?
We do. I am unaware of the dates. I don't think they're 100% confirmed that I'm aware of. But you can always check us out, extremebrewing.com, facebook.com/Extreme Brewing, or just give us a call.
And if you want to have a private class, you can arrange for a private class for four
more people. I typically like to do them on Thursday nights or Saturdays.
And tickets for both the Good Beer Fest and the Oktoberfest are on sale. Big shout out to my friend Todd. We are having our own beer, not festival. I'm sorry. He has invited me to his annual fall beer tasting. So I'm looking forward to that on October 4th, and I'll be back to report on how that goes. Have you been to Third Wave recently? Do they still have any fall beers left there?
I didn't get to go last week.
Didn't they do? Were they doing a squash beer of some sort? Am I making?
There is a pumpkin beer. It came on last week, so there should be plenty of that left. I know they did 2 batches of it.
Oh, that's cool. Well, one of the things that we discussed is when we were, I think it was Doug. We were talking about the struggle for pumpkin beers. Is the only downside is to them getting earlier every year is that when it gets time to drink them, there are none left.
Yeah.
And I was saying, it doesn't matter because I don't really drink them, so I don't really care. And then Todd's like, you should bring a beer to this. I'm like, yeah, I should. I hope Third Wave still has them on October 4th, which is another 3 weeks away. So
Another last minute thing. I don't know how many people are going to see it before the time. Trap Pond is having a beer fest Saturday, noon to 5. So go check it out. It's their first year doing it. Hopefully it's going to be awesome. We'll be there. I'm awesome, so you should probably come check it out.
And do you know some of the brewers? Mississippian?
It's all Delaware beers, I think. I haven't really been able to keep up with that one. Sorry, I'm getting married in a few weeks, and that's kind of consumed my life.
And not for nothing, if you're listening at the Delaware Beer, they haven't been really. I don't know how well promoted it's been.
Right.
So
hopefully it's. And
the Friends of Trap Pond are good at going to things, but they're not good at getting other people to go to things. Like I have trouble getting them for newspaper stories, getting them to like participate.
Oh, okay.
So we'll see. Hopefully it goes well. Hopefully it goes well enough that it'll be next year, because I will not be around this weekend. I'll be running from zombies. The big zombie run I've been talking about for 2 years is now upon us. Saturday morning, running for zombies. Check me out on OSSURYNOT on Twitter, and you'll see all the fun zombie stuff. For all the fun beer stuff, you can find us at extremebrewing.com. Click on everything else, and then click on the Beer with Strangers podcast, and to follow links to Twitter and Facebook and all the other social medias that we participate in which we participate. But we're going to call it a day for today. So thanks so much for joining us. And I'm sorry about the audio recently. I promise it will be better. Now, I promise that this one that you just listened to for the last half hour was better.
So see you guys.
We'll see you next week.